Welcome to the March 20th edition of Colorado Insight Postgame, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. Let's get a quick take on the fact that three out of the 4 murders that took place in Denver over a 24-hour period this past weekend were gang-related. Mayor Michael Hancock is encouraging community members to collaborate with police in order to help prevent further violence, and this comes on the heels, Patty Cahoon from Westward, of Director of Safety Stephanie O'Malley refuting a big report from the Denver auditor about the Denver Sheriff's Department. So there's a lot of different things going on within the public safety department in Denver, and gang violence, which I think Denver's been lucky enough not to really see in the headlines lately, but certainly now is making its return. What do you think?
Well, I think if you're in the public safety department, you want to be a firefighter these days, because that is the only group we're not hearing about. Dennis Gallagher just released a scathing audit of the Denver Sheriff's Department and the jail. And of course, we've been hearing about that for years. Now the cops are back in the spotlight. We've had the issue about not using the body cameras. We've had the issue about not cars without body cameras, but ramming into other cars, or shooting into cars. And now we have this gang thing. It's interesting because murders are down in Denver, but the percentage of murders by gangs are much higher. And just a couple weeks ago, we had all this, they're working so hard together, they're listening to gang members, and as thanks, I guess, the gang members went out and shot some people. So we have some big problems in Denver, and the public safety, Sheriff's Department, Denver Police Department do not seem to be able to get a handle on it, and the mayor's office doesn't seem to be getting a handle on it. So that is where the discussions are really going to be coming in the next few weeks.
Todd Shepard from ColoradoIndependent.com, CompleteColorado.com, I'm so sorry.
They'd be offended.
Yeah, exactly. As Patty mentioned, we're in the middle of the mayor's office hasn't seemed to have a lot of coordinated response. And we're supposedly in the middle of a municipal election. I think if there was a real race for the mayor's office right now, this would be a horrific month of news between the police department, the sheriff's department, and now with gang violence. But I guess fortunately we don't have a municipal election, at least when it comes to the mayor's office. What do you make of all the big news coming out?
In terms of the big news, as we were talking before we shot the main show, it's sort of almost difficult to follow the news because there is so much and there are so many audits, you can't keep track of them. I asked, didn't Grayson Robinson, former sheriff of Arapahoe County, do the audit? And no, he's working on a separate one. So it's even hard for some of us just average Joe news consumers to keep up. I will say, when it comes to the gang shootings, and the mayor, as you mentioned, makes this outreach, will the community please help us and communicate? I personally still worry, and I wonder how much of a chilling effect there may be in the community from witness killings that happened 7 or 8 years ago. Like, you had the witness killing of Javad Marshall Fields, that was gang related. You had the witness killing of Kalani and Clark, which was tangentially related to the Darren Williams murder, but again, that was gang related too. When you have witness killings like that, or even if you look at Sean May, who was an Adams County prosecutor but was murdered in Denver, I think when you look at all of those things, it casts a chill over the public's willingness to be communicative with police, and I worry about that.
Eric Sonman, political analyst. I think Todd brings up a great point, and you add that to the fact that there's already pretty significant divide between the community and the police department well before any sort of gang violence statistics came out. Can that be overcome, whether it's by the mayor or anybody else at the city of Denver?
It's going to be a process to overcome it, and it strikes me as a process. I mean, whatever your take is on Michael Hancock, and he'll be reelected here in a few months by, just something short of acclamation for lack of any opponent. And maybe he would be reelected in all likelihood in any circumstance, but the lack of an opponent is costing this city a discussion, a debate on these issues and others. So I agree with what has been said by both Todd and Patty, and so I don't repeat. The angle I would take on this is I think this situation is very volatile and precarious. There is not a great degree of public confidence these days in those departments, sheriff and police.
Ball courts and bring people together, and he was surrounded, in his words, I listened to a piece he has on YouTube, surrounded by about 12 or 15 Bloods who were out in his mind, they were out to get him, and he shot one of them. And you know, it just feels to me that since that time there has been this gradual uptick. Now, it's nothing like the summer of violence of 1995 when we had, you know, roughly
93.
Oh, 93.
That's
Excuse
okay.
me. Excuse me. Roughly 75 or 80 homicides a year. You know, we're far down. We're more in the 20 range, and we're talking about 3 or 4 here. So I don't mean to compare it magnitude-wise, but you know, there does seem to feel that urgency or electricity in the air in the way that it did back then.
Especially if you're going to nip it in the bud before it becomes a summer of violence. I mean,
Yes.
we're in March, so.
Right.
Well, that is all time we have for Colorado Inside Out postgame this week. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thank you very much for watching.